Thank you, everybody, for coming today. My name is Christine Reed, and I'm coming to you from Allen Hancock College, which is in Santa Maria, California. I am the project director for the C6 Collaborative, which is a National Science Foundation funded partnership between 8 California community colleges, starting up up with Cabrillo in Santa Cruz area, down to Monterey Peninsula College and Cuesta and Hancock, Santa Barbara City, Ventura, Oxnard, and Moore Park. And we are excited that you're joining us today. The C6 Collaborative is dedicated to providing extensive resources for students who are studying the STEM discipline within the Central Coast. And so we leverage all of our resources together to serve the students of the Central Coast in STEM areas. I am excited to have Angelica here today presenting academic success strategies for STEM students. And I'm going to turn the floor over to her. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Christine. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Angelica Oyoki. I am one of the STEM counselors here at Hancock College for our Mesa STEM Academic Success Center. If I have any Cuesta folks on the call, I might seem familiar, and that's because I'm also a part-time counselor at Cuesta with our EOPS program. So welcome, everybody. I'm so happy that you joined in. So today we're going to be talking about STEM academic success strategies, and I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks to help you be a successful STEM student. I've been counseling STEM students for the last 8 years, and I've been able to offer support and just be a resource to our students and providing them some of these strategies to implement in their day and life as a college student. So I'm happy to be able to share that with you. Okay, so an overview of what we're going to be covering today. So we're going to do introductions. We'll jump into that in just a second. I'm going to be going over the basics and just some words of motivation, hopefully, to help you develop this positive mindset and perspective as you embark and continue to take on your STEM classes. I'll talk about in and out of class techniques to help you be successful. I'm going to be sharing with you our study time formula. We'll go over time management. I'll talk to you about study tips, grades, and using your resources and maintaining balance. So before we dive into the presentation, if you don't mind, I want to go around our Zoom room and introduce ourselves. So if you don't mind sharing your name, your major, and what community college you're joining us from. So I'm going to call on the first person I have on my list to go first, and then I'll call on the next person, okay? So Brianna, if you don't mind sharing where you're from and your major. And you're on mute. You're all on mute, by the way. Okay. Welcome, Brianna. She's joining in from SBCC. So welcome, Brianna. What about as you're pursuing industrial engineering? Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right. The next person I have on is Botros. Botros. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Yes, hi, I am from Oxford College and my major is mathematics.
Awesome. Welcome. The next I have Priscilla.
Hi, everyone. My name is Priscilla. I go to Oxnard College and my major is electrical engineering.
Wonderful. Welcome, Priscilla. And Micah.
I'm from Allen Hancock. I've been here a while, and I major in computer engineering.
Welcome, Micah. What about Andrew?
My name is Andrew. I come from Oxnard College, and my major is computer science.
Wonderful. Welcome, Andrew. Angel?
Hello, my name is Angel. I'm majoring in mechanical engineering, and I am a student at Oxnard College.
Wonderful. Welcome, Angel. Brenda?
Hi, my name is Brenda and I'm majoring in physics and I'm from Oxnard College as well.
Great, welcome, Brenda. And last but not least, and I hope I didn't miss anybody, Tiffany.
Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm attending Cuesta and I'm majoring in electrical engineering.
Wonderful, welcome, Tiffany. Did I miss anybody? I think I got everyone. Alrighty. Okay, thank you all for sharing. I'm so excited to have you on the call. Alrighty, so moving along. Oops. There we go. Okay, so the basics. I just wanted to set the stage. So as STEM students, as you have probably discovered by now, your classes are demanding and they are very rigorous, right? Being a college student requires a lot of time and energy from you. So I just want you to keep in mind that as you're going through your education, maintain a positive attitude, and it's all about your perspective. Be ready to learn and grow, because ultimately that is the goal, right? For you to embark in your education and develop as a student so that you are a successful professional as you move on in your studies and then into the professional world. Keep in mind that learning is an adventure. It can be fun rather than hard labor and painful. Success does require commitment and sacrifice. So each semester, when you enroll in your classes, you're making that commitment to yourself to show up to those classes, to be ready to learn for those classes, and to be ready to give it your all to have those successful outcomes and earn good grades. You can all do it no matter what your circumstances are. Your attitude determines how you experience your situation. Change your thinking and it'll help change your life. And change is inevitable and adaptation is a valuable skill. Your education and growth definitely has to be a commitment. And all of you, have chosen to be here, have chosen to enroll as college students, and you want to see that as an opportunity rather than something that you have to do, right? Every day that you get to attend class, keep that in mind. You get to attend class. You get to study. You get to study engineering. You get to study physics, right? It's an opportunity that you've allowed yourself to take on. So all about mindset and perspective, which that takes us to our next slide on mindset and perspective. So refrain from saying I'm not good enough or that I cannot mentality, okay? If you start to say that you're not good at something or that you're not able to do something, what's going to happen is that you might not be successful in the things that you're trying to accomplish because your mindset isn't allowing you to accomplish those things. So make sure that you're assessing your perspective and your mindset and your attitude as you're going into your coursework and as you go into a semester, an exam, into a study session, whatever the experience is, whatever you're going into, you want to go into it with a positive mindset. And embrace the rigor. Your classes are, the most rigorous classes that a college offers. You're taking the hardest classes. But find the joy, find the things that you enjoy about the classes, and keep in mind that this is your opportunity to grow and to better yourself, and it's an experience that you get to take on. And I want to talk a little bit about growth mindset. And a growth mindset is something that I hope all of you take with you. So individuals that have a growth mindset have an expectation that their abilities can grow and can improve over time, right? So just because you might not be the best at something right now doesn't mean that you can't improve that, right? You can develop your skills, you can develop your abilities and get better. Practice makes perfect. So stay committed and persistent to your studies over the course of your time here at the college. A growth mindset allows you to see the challenges as opportunities. So just something super important to take in mind whenever you have doubts about your abilities, keep in mind those goals while you're working towards your education, and remember that just because you haven't accomplished certain things yet doesn't mean that you won't get there. Okay, and just as long as you continue to work hard and stay driven and dedicated, you will get to that end goal. And something super important to be mindful of is that as college students, you are responsible for your learning. For those of you who have been a college student for a little while now, I think you all have experienced this, that there is a huge difference between being a high school student to being a college student, right? As a college student, you are responsible for your learning. You are in that driver's seat. Your instructors are there to help facilitate your learning, and they are there as a resource, but they are not responsible for your learning. So it is super important that you're willing to do the work outside of class, right? Research topics on your own, participate in the learning experience outside of the classroom, and seek knowledge in your discipline. Don't just rely on your lecture and your textbook. So for a lot of you, you might find that you have to do a little bit more than just show up to lecture. You might need to, go in and get tutoring. You might need to watch YouTube videos, YouTube lectures to help aid your progress in your courses. And then I did mention, guys, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or type it in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat as we go. Alrighty, so STEM demands smart learning techniques. Building block dependent and foundation reliant. So all of the courses that you're taking are interrelated, and one course depends on the other course. So it's really important that you're going in ready to learn and develop a strong foundation in all of your STEM courses. Take each class seriously, because what you're learning in one class will probably show up in the next class, right? What you're learning at the beginning of the semester will definitely be important for what you're going to learn midway through, for what you're going to learn at the end of the semester. So everything builds upon each other. So most of your classes, you'll notice that they do have prerequisites. So your classes are very sequential. So you have to take them in a particular order. And that's because you need to develop knowledge and expertise in one area before you're able to move on to the next area. So you will see that you'll be taking physics, right? And if you're an engineering major, you're going to see that physics come up in your engineering classes. You're taking calculus courses, you're going to see that calculus come up in your physics courses. So you want to make sure that you're dedicating yourself to really learn the material. That way, when you move on to your next class, you have those foundational concepts under your belt, and having them under your belt will help you be that much more successful in your new classes. So it is important that you are participating in study groups. You're not alone. So your STEM courses are rigorous, but you do have plenty of other peers around you who want to support you and work together with you. So make sure that you're engaging in study groups. Tutoring. So I hope all of you have had the opportunity to take on or get help from a tutor, okay? Because tutoring should be utilized regularly into your weekly schedule, and we'll talk a little bit more about your weekly schedules. But you want to see tutoring as a vitamin and not an aspirin, okay? And what I mean by that is that you want to use it to stay academically healthy, okay? And not just when you fail a test, now you're running to a tutor, right? Maybe in high school, you were put into tutoring because you weren't doing well in a class, right? As a college student, you want to use tutoring as a resource to help you stay ahead, to help you really master the material and develop good understanding. So make sure that you're building tutoring into your weekly schedules. All of your colleges should be offering some type of tutoring, either embedded into your classes or at your success center or at your academic resource centers. So if you're not connected with tutoring just yet, get onto your college's website and identify where that tutoring is available at each of your respective colleges, okay? And you will notice that STEM courses just simply take more time and energy of you, okay? So you got to be prepared to devote the time and make that commitment to be good students and to be engaged students and to move forward with your courses by, allocating enough time each week to develop a good understanding and a good foundation in all of your courses. All right, so let's go over some in-class techniques. So the first one, super important that when you show up to class that you are alert and involved. So step one to being alert and involved in class is one, attending class regularly, okay? I didn't put this on the slide, but I gotta mention it. You should be attending class every day. So if there's a class session, you should be there, okay? That's not optional. You should really be there. If life happens, because sometimes life happens, of course, communicate with your instructors, let them know that you're not gonna be making it, connect with the peer, that way you're able to get notes and class material from that class session, okay? But in order to get the most out of your class, you need to remain alert and involved. The more involved you are, the easier it will be for you to pay attention. Try to participate in class discussions or activities. And in order for you to be engaged and alert, right, you want to make sure that you're rested. So keep that in mind when you're developing your weekly schedules. Make sure that you are building in your sleep into your schedule, because you do want to get enough sleep, and it'll help you have a better time paying attention in class. Also, eat before you show up to class. You don't want to be hungry while you're in class, and try to avoid distractions. When you're in class, you're there to learn. That should be your number one goal and priority, to absorb as much information as you can, to ask the questions that you have. Any personal concerns, texting, social media, talking to peers, all of that should go out the door, okay? So when you show up to any of your classes, your number one goal is to be engaged in class and to stay focused and to learn that material that's being presented that day. Questions about being alert and involved? All right. Some more on it in class techniques. So be prepared. It is super important that you're preparing yourself for each of your class sessions. So review your course syllabus regularly. Each of your classes should have a course syllabus. Make sure that you're going through it regularly. If it's been a little while since you've taken a look at your course syllabus, take some time sometime this week when you have downtime to go through and review each of your course syllabus, so that you're not missing any important deadlines or any assignments that might be coming up, okay? So review those syllabi regularly. Stay organized with a notebook or class calendar. I would recommend that for each of your classes, you set aside a notebook where you take notes in, and your class calendar, you know, that's where you plug in all of those important dates. So if you have important assignments, if you have quizzes or exams coming up, you want to make sure that you're putting them into your calendar so that you're not forgetting these things. Anytime that you're showing up to class, be ready to take notes, okay? Have a notebook, or if you're taking notes on your laptop or your iPad or a tablet, make sure you have that ready to go for each of your class sessions. Stay organized for your reading. Know what the reading assignments are and stay on top of them, okay? Usually your instructor will provide you with a class calendar of everything that's going to be covered each week. So make sure that you're reviewing that weekly so that you know what is expected in terms of your readings, okay? And when you show up to class, you want to make sure that you're prepared, okay? And this doesn't just mean show up with a pen and pencil, but, you know, do you need a calculator for that class? Do you need a textbook? Should your textbook be with you in the class? Do you need a lab manual? Anything that you need for that particular class, make sure that you have it with you and that it's ready to go for the class session. You don't want to be scrambling at the beginning of class. Another thing I want to note in here, show up to class and show up on time, okay? That way you're ready to go by the time your instructor starts lecturing. All right, so more in class techniques, be content ready. You want to feel confident with the material. This doesn't mean that you go into class being a master with the current material, but you at least want to be familiar enough to be comfortable. So what this means is you've done the assigned readings, you've gone through that chapter that you were supposed to be reading, you identified some of those important terms, maybe taken some notes, read the material, have questions about the material. That way, if questions come up, you're asking those questions in class, right? If there's something that doesn't make sense to you, you write it down and you check in with the instructor, either during office hours or you ask in class. I recommend that if you do have questions about material, that you are asking those questions in class, because most often than not, your peers also have the same or similar questions. The second part of being content ready is to be prepared for the new material that you're about to learn. This means know what topics are going to be coming up. And again, like I mentioned, use the syllabus to be aware of the content that will be popping up, do the assigned readings, and try completing your practice problems as well. Okay, so more in-class techniques. Now, taking effective notes. Number one, make sure that you're taking notes in every class session. You want to identify your note-taking strategy, okay? Do you function better if you do pen and paper? Do you function better if you type out your notes in your laptop or use your tablet to write out your notes? There's a lot of different ways that you can take notes, so identify what's going to work best for you, okay? Once you've determined what strategy works best, make sure that you're taking notes during every class session. Do try to write in your own words and write what makes sense to you. Don't sacrifice listening for writing, and indicate important topics or terms. And you can do this by using highlighters, using different color pens, circling important terms, underlining, putting down exclamation points. That way you're able to keep track of, the important things that come up in class. Of course, everything's important, but your instructors will often emphasize certain things that they're covering, and that's often a note to self, like, hey, this might come up on an exam, or I really need to focus on this and study this, okay? And it is okay if your notes are messy. That's totally fine. You can fix them later. In fact, you should be going back to your notes after your class session and rewriting them, okay? That way you have a nice, neat set of notes. Another thing that I wanted to add in here is compare notes with your classmates or your peers. If you have a study buddy or a study group that you're working with, it's okay to compare notes. That way, in case you miss anything, you can pick it up from their notes. And since all of you are going to be taking STEM classes or are currently in your STEM classes, there's a lot of graphs or diagrams. So include drawings and make them large enough so that you can annotate on them. Any questions about taking notes? Okay. So some outside of class techniques that are super important, you want to make sure that you're studying regularly, okay? Your STEM courses should be one of your top priorities. And you want to make sure that you're dedicating enough time every week for each of your classes. So when I say study, I don't just mean like looking at your notes and reviewing them all day. This can be attending tutoring. This can be working on assignments. This can be reading your textbook. Anything that has to do with helping you develop a greater understanding for the class, that is classified as studying, okay? Study with peers. So get connected with those individuals in your classes. As STEM students, you're going to notice that the peers that you take one class with are going to be the same students that move on to the next class with you, okay? So begin to develop friendships, begin to get connected with those individuals in your class. Study in appropriate environments, super, super important. Pay attention to your environments. Where are you most productive, right? I encourage all of you to stay on campus, to study and to use your STEM centers, to use your libraries, to use your academic success centers, somewhere where it's a good environment for you to study, where there's less distractions, where you're really able to focus, and where you're around other individuals who are also studying. That'll help you stay motivated. I know a lot of students say, well, I like to study at home, I'm just more comfortable. That might be true, but there's also a lot more distractions at home. So if that is the case for you, try to stay on campus as much as possible. And also pay attention to what times of the day you study best, right? When are you most alert? Are you a morning person? Are you a midday person? Are you an evening person? And try to make sure that you're scheduling in your study time at the times that work best for you. Sometimes with your busy schedules, you might not have that flexibility to say, I'm going to study in the morning, because you might be in class in the morning or you might be at work in the morning. But whenever you do have that opportunity to schedule your study time during a time that, like during your peak time when you're the most alert, try to do that as much as you can. Review your notes regularly. I encourage you to review your notes every single day after class. So if you attend a class, you took your notes right after class, go through and review all of those notes and rewrite them. Complete your homework and reading assignments. Start on your homework right away. So if you show up to your calculus class today and your instructor assigned homework, as soon as you get out of lecture, try to get it started. As long as your schedule allows it, set some time aside and get started with it. Use your supplemental materials. So if you have additional resources that your instructors provide, make sure that you're utilizing this to help you be successful. Utilize the tutoring. Use your instructor's office hours. So all of your instructors have time set aside for each of their classes that they teach where they hold office hours. And those office hours are for you as a student to come in, connect with your instructor, get to know them, also give them that opportunity to get to know you a little better, and use this time to ask questions, to get additional support. If you're having a hard time in a class, this is the time that you want to go in and connect with those instructors. If for whatever reason, one of your instructor's office hours does not work with your schedule, maybe you're in class during that time, reach out to them via email, let them know that you have a conflict, and usually they'll be flexible and set time aside for you via an appointment, okay? So utilize those office hours as much as possible. They're there for you. Surround yourself with other students who are dedicated and working hard. STEM is a very small community. Not every college student is a STEM major, right? So as you get to know your peers in your classes, do surround yourself with them and be each other's support system and keep yourselves motivated. And don't forget to take a break, okay? STEM requires that you study for long periods of time, but make sure that you're plugging in a time for you to have a break. So if you're studying for a 2-hour time frame, make sure that you're building in a couple of breaks within that study session. And we'll talk more about that as we go through our weekly schedules and time management. Any questions so far? All righty. So I wanted to talk about the recommended study time formula for STEM courses, okay? So for every STEM course that you're enrolled in, there's a set amount of units assigned. So for each unit of STEM courses that you're taking, you should be studying 3 hours a week per credit. For non-STEM courses, so for every unit that you're enrolled in, you should be studying 2 hours a week. And that's the rule of thumb to help you be as successful as possible. So we have a little formula that we encourage you to utilize. So if you're enrolled, I'm going to do the 12-unit example. So if you're enrolled in 12 units, you are dedicating yourself to be in class 12 hours a week, because for every unit that you're enrolled in, that represents 1 hour a week that you are supposed to be in class, okay? So we recommend that you work no more than 20 hours a week. And since you're taking 12 units, the study time allocation should be 36 hours. And this is if all of your classes are STEM courses, okay? So what I did was multiply the 12 units by 3, and that's how I came up with the 36 hours. So when you take your units that you're enrolled in, the amount of hours that you're working each week, and the study time that you should be allocating each week, we come out with 68 hours that you're supposed to be committed to either being in class, studying, or being at work, okay? So you want to make sure that you're staying within the 70 to 75 hour a week range. That way you're not experiencing burnout or getting overwhelmed, okay? This will help you be the most academically healthy, and you'll hopefully be able to maintain good balance. Any questions on the study time formula? Okay, and in a couple of slides, I'll give you an example of what this looks like in a weekly schedule, okay? All right, time management. So let's jump into time management, which is super important. If you are not practicing a time management strategy, we got to make sure that you find a strategy that works for you and that you're implementing it to your everyday life, okay? This is what's going to help you be the most successful as a college student and then as you move into your professional career. So there's a couple of different time management strategies that I recommend that you implement. One of them is a weekly schedule, and we'll talk more about that. I have a whole example on the weekly schedule. And a weekly schedule is an hour by hour schedule for the week. This includes class time, work time, study time, leisure time, reward time, and any other commitments that you may have during the week. Then we have the monthly calendar. So for a monthly calendar, I encourage all of you to get an agenda, a planner, something, I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. So something like this, where you have, oh, you can't see it, where you have the whole month at glance, and then it helps you keep track of like those big important deadlines, appointments, timelines, long range plans, if you have any social events or activities. So your monthly calendar is a visual representation of what your month is going to look like. It helps you kind of look ahead and get a snapshot of what you have coming up for the month. And then a daily to-do list. I encourage all of you to maintain a daily to-do list every single day, where you're including your priorities for the day, the things that you need to get done that particular day. It helps you stay on track, right? You sit down in the morning, identify all the things that you need to take care of for that day, put the most important priority at the very top of the list, and then, you know, go on down the list based on how important it is for that day. And as you begin to accomplish things that day, make sure that you're checking things off. Anything that you don't get to, make sure that you add it to the daily to-do list the following day. Okay. And with time management, you just have to practice and get into the groove of things. If you're not implementing time management strategies into your schedule now, you know, let's try some of these strategies. And as you go through your semester, you'll find that these things will come a lot more naturally to you, to, you know, be on a weekly schedule, to utilize your calendar, to utilize that to-do list regularly. So let's talk a little bit about a weekly schedule, okay? In order to develop a weekly schedule, you need to determine what those fixed activities are that are staying consistent throughout the week, and what those variable activities are, the things that you can change, okay? Some of the activities that could go onto your weekly schedule should be things like work, sleeping, eating, study time, class time, grooming, taking care of yourself, your family, personal commitments, commuting, cooking, meal prepping, exercising, errands, housekeeping, you know, things that you need to take care of on a weekly basis, okay? And then you want to make sure that you're utilizing the study time formula to plug in time each week where you're going to be dedicating to study, okay? You should be scheduling your study time every week and respect it as time that you don't move around, right? Time that if somebody says, hey, let's go grab lunch at 2 o'clock, and that's usually your study time for physics, you're going to respect that as your study time, right? So study time should always be plugged in, and you should account for each hour of the day. Assess and plan, you know, take a look at your workload, your commitment, and adjust it if needed. Schedule in your extracurricular activities, your free time, and your reward time, because you should also be plugging in things to take care of yourself, right? You want to be well, you want to maintain that good balance. So you got to plug in some free time and reward time. And when you develop a weekly schedule, sometimes life happens, right? Where you might need to reschedule study time. So whenever that does happen, trade time, don't steal it. And definitely be realistic. In order for you to be successful with your time management strategy, you have to be realistic. Schedule difficult tasks at the prime time for you, and always make sure to build in breaks, okay? So I'm going to give you an example of what a STEM student weekly schedule will look like. In the chat, before we get done today, I'm going to put in a PDF file of this weekly schedule, not filled out, okay? It's going to be blank. That way you can take it and fill it out, okay? So to give you some information of how I created this weekly schedule, I went based off 4 STEM classes that we offer at Hancock. So Calc 1, Computer Programming, Physics, and Engineering 100. These 4 classes end up being 12 units. So I use a study time formula to identify how much time I should be setting aside for study. So I multiplied the 12 units by 3, by 3, and came up with 36 hours per week, okay? So I knew how much time I would need to set aside for studying. So to create this schedule, I went through my pretend schedule, and I plugged in all the times that I am in class, okay? So I plugged in my calc time. So I'm in class Monday through Thursday from 8 to 9:05 in Calculus 1. Then I'm in physics Monday and Wednesday from 12:45 to 2:05. So I plugged that in. I'm in computer programming on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 2:05. And then I'm in engineering 100 on Mondays at 4:30. Okay. And I color coded everything. The color coding makes sense to me. I didn't give you a legend of what each thing means, but you'll be able to identify how you want to color code your weekly schedule. Okay. You can get creative, do something that works well for you. All right. So the next thing I did, I plugged in all of my study time. So I knew that with a 12 credit load, I would need to dedicate 36 hours a week of studying. So I went through and I identified those 36 hours a week. Okay. As you can see, I put down study hours, Calc 1, study Calc 1. So you want to make sure that you identify what you're going to be studying during each hour of the week. Some weeks, things might change because you might have an exam, so you might need to study at a different time so that you have enough study time for that particular exam. But you do want to plug in all of your study time, and then once I was able to plug in all of my study time, I went through and I plugged in my work schedule. For some of you, you have a set work schedule, so you know what your work schedule looks like. So what you might want to do is plug in your class time, then your work hours, and then build out your study time around that, okay? Oops. All right, are you guys able to see my screen still? I have some pop-ups. Anybody? Okay, I hope that you can still see my screen. If you can't, let me know. Okay, so I also went in and plugged in my sleep time, right? So you got to make sure that you're sleeping enough each day. In order for you to be successful in your classes, you have to have rest. You have to be energized. So try to plug in 8 hours of sleep each day. It is important for your body, for your brain, and for your learning. Okay, so I plugged in my study time, and then I plugged in when I'm going to wake up and get ready. And then you see I left some areas blank for me to take care of, any other personal commitments. Okay, so this is just an example of how to develop a weekly schedule. So like I mentioned, I will put the PDF file in the chat at the end of this presentation. That way you can take it and come up with your own weekly schedule that works for you. Okay, are any of you using a weekly schedule? Nobody? Can I see some thumbs up if you're using a weekly schedule? Okay, Brianna, Priscilla, awesome. Are there things that work really well for you that you would like to share with the group? For those of you who are using a weekly schedule? Okay. All right, so for those of you who are using these schedules, that's awesome. Continue to do this. Every semester, update your schedule so that it matches what you have going on that semester. For those of you who are not using a weekly schedule just yet, take some time this week to develop a weekly schedule for yourself. If pencil and paper, don't work well for you, there is on Google, a Google Calendar, just like this, like you can fill out and have an electronic version of this weekly schedule. And as long as you have a Google account, you should be able to access that calendar or this weekly schedule. Alrighty. And then feel free to ask any questions as they come up. Okay, study tips. Super important that you are dedicating enough study time. So make a goal and make sure that your amount of time that you are setting aside is reasonable. And also be mindful of, is it taking you time to, get in that groove of studying? If it is, plan for that, okay? Like I mentioned, pick a good study environment. Choose a place where it's distraction reduced. Don't forget to build in breaks into your study schedule. Try to focus on one subject at a time. There's no need for you to multitask. If you're gonna set time aside to study, make sure that it is intentional and that you're specific and that you know exactly what you're gonna be focusing on during that study session, okay? So before you jump into your study session, identify what you're gonna be focusing on. Spend time studying with others and also by yourself. Working in study groups, I think is fantastic, but also pay attention to those study groups. If they are not productive, you might need to find a new study group, okay? Or you might need to dedicate more time on your own to studying. But you definitely want to make sure that if you are studying with peers, that time is productive, okay? And also be realistic with how you utilize your study time. So we do recommend that you put in a lot of study hours, but a 10-hour study session is probably not realistic, right? Instead, you want to try to break off that time so that you have enough time to, one, process information and to give yourself breaks. Alrighty, test preparation. So all of you are familiar with exams. Your classes have exams. Sometimes you have more exams in one class than others. So it's super important that you begin to study early, okay? If you don't know when your tests are coming up, go review your course syllabus. That information should be on the syllabus, and plan ahead. I would recommend that you begin to actively study at least a week in advance, where you're working on a study guide, where you're developing flashcards, and where you're identifying and reviewing the material that will be covered on the exam. Connect with your instructor and ask questions. Remember to find a classmate or a study group that you can work with. Complete practice problems or practice tests. So sometimes your instructor will provide you with a practice test or practice problems. Don't ignore those, work on those. A lot of the times the practice problems are very similar to what's going to be on the exam. Get plenty of rest the night before your exam. Avoid pulling all-nighters. If you're pulling an all-nighter and you're not getting that rest that your brain needs, it's going to be really, really hard to retrieve that information at your exam. So plan ahead and make sure that you have sufficient study time and that you're getting plenty of rest the night before. While you're taking the test, make sure that you're paying close attention to the directions, that you're reading directions, that you're reading each question in its entirety, and that you're taking your time and reviewing your work. Once you received a grade back, review your exam and review that feedback that the instructor provided you, okay? If you have questions about how you did it in an exam, even after reviewing the feedback, I would 100% recommend that you go in and check in with your instructor and ask the questions that you have based on your progress on that exam. I always recommend that my students pay attention to what went well on their exam and what didn't go well, okay? Pay attention to, what kind of problems did you miss? Did you make little mistakes? Was there problems that you just completely had no idea what they were talking about? Was there an exam that you weren't able to finish? You didn't have enough time? Pay attention to those things and get connected with either your instructor or a counselor. And there's oftentimes there's strategies and resources that we can recommend based on what you experience. And maintaining the grades. So I know all of you are aiming for A's and B's, and A's and B's are super important. I think all of you want to transfer to the university, so maintaining a competitive GPA is crucial because you want to get into those top universities. So, in order for you to get those A's and B's, you have to implement some of these strategies to help you be successful and help you earn those good grades. While grades are super important, learning and understanding is going to be the #1 priority. So you definitely want to make sure that in every class that you're developing a strong foundation, that you really understand the material, because like I mentioned, your classes all rely on each other. So if you are barely getting by in one class, it's going to impact your success in the next class, right? So you definitely want to develop a good understanding. Ask for help. Don't let your questions go unanswered. Be intentional with your time and make school a priority. School should be at the top of the list of priorities, and everything else should kind of revolve around that. Implement the techniques that we have gone over today. Practice good time management, ensure that you're utilizing tutoring, and stay connected. And all of your campuses have resources, okay? So utilize your resources and utilize them regularly. Make time to connect with your instructors, either during office hours, maybe after or before class. Get your questions answered. I mentioned tutoring quite a few times, so it is so imperative that you're utilizing tutoring regularly. Study on campus, utilize your on-campus study centers, the library, your health and wellness center. STEM is rigorous. Sometimes, there's additional stressors that come up. Utilize your health center. There's usually therapists in there, nurses. Make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well. All of your campuses should have a DSPS program, which is the Disability Services and Support Program. If you're experiencing that you are having challenges in your classes and you think that you might have a learning disability or learning challenge, you definitely want to get connected with your DSPS programs. If you are on an IEP or 504 plan in high school, you definitely want to get connected. There's additional support and accommodations that the DSPS programs can offer you. And that could look like a note taker, extended time on tests, testing outside of the classroom in a distraction-reduced environment. So, if you are experiencing that you might be having a learning challenge, definitely get connected with your DSPS program at your college. Utilize your financial aid. All of you should be applying for FAFSA or the California Dream Act. Apply for financial aid each year. You want to minimize the amount of hours a week that you're working at a job and, bringing the money through financial aid. So apply for FAFSA, the Dream Act, depending on what you're eligible for, and apply for scholarships regularly. Having that extra aid come in will allow you to remain more focused on your academics and hopefully reduce the amount of hours that you have to work each week. And stay connected with your academic counselors. We're here to support you and help you navigate your journey as a student and provide you with strategies to be successful. Super important. Take care of yourself. You are the most important piece of this entire equation. If you're not well, everything around you is going to suffer. Your classes will suffer. Your personal life will suffer. Anything else that you have going on will be impacted. So definitely take care of yourself and maintain balance. Okay, so practice self-care. Identify time each week where you're taking maybe an hour or 2 hours to do something that you enjoy. Okay, reward yourself. Build in time into your weekly schedule that's just for you. Get enough sleep every day. I would say plug into your schedule 8 hours a day of sleep. You gotta allow your body and your brain to get rest. Eat healthy foods and drink plenty of water. Surround yourself with positive and supportive individuals. You also want to protect your energy, right? You don't want to be around people who drain you, who are negative, who just add stress to your life. You want to be intentional with the relationships that you have around you, and you want to choose positive people to be part of that support, okay? And enjoy the journey. Your college education is a journey, and what you're going through right now is very temporary. It's just a part of your life. You will get to that finish line sooner than later. So enjoy the process of going to school and being a college student. Alrighty, and here's my reference. I pulled some of the material from the guided book for studying and learning in STEM that was put together by the National Science Foundation back in 2010. So if you want access to that file, there's the link, and I will send this PowerPoint in the chat and the PDF, okay? Any questions? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Don't disconnect yet. I want to get the PDF of the time management worksheet to you. That way you all have access to it. So let me see file. So give me just a minute. Okay. So send. Okay, so the weekly schedule should be in the chat. So you should all be able to open that and download it. And then I'm also going to send you the PowerPoint. So give me a minute so I can get that to you. Just find it. I'm sorry, guys. Just a minute while I open up the folder. Here we go. Okay, and the PowerPoint is now also in the chat. So you should be able to open that and download it. If for whatever reason you are on your phone, let me know and I can grab your email and send it to you in an email. All right, Christine, anything that you want to add?
We'll also be posting these things on the C6 website. So today's recording of the presentation will be on the C6 website, as well as these two documents. Thank you, Angelica. I really appreciate you doing that today. Any final questions for Angelica? And thank you for joining us today, and hopefully you'll join us in the future for other C6 seminars. Everyone have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.